following up right past the point we had between Juiz and Billy, I thought that interaction was pretty cool. And then I mentioned my favorite part was definitely seeing the interaction between Burn and Spoil. I thought that was just extremely interesting like in general, and I didn't expect that to any degree. So that was a surprising favorite for that portion. But up and coming, I'm actually really interested in finding out more about Shen, because Shen has been, present since borderline the start. Like, he was one of the first guys that showed up following the initial chapter, and he's been really cool since then. Like, it was really weird when he first showed up. I was like, man, this guy seems pretty neat. And then I was kind of looking at him more from like the robot guy that he was with. And I was like, oh, well, probably he's gonna die too, or he's gonna be some early series opponent that is gonna get beat and forgotten. That's not the case, because obviously he's still around. But I think his is really cool. I like his untruth ability. I like he's got the the Nyoibo, the extending Sun Wukong staff. I think that's just pretty neat in general. And then his backstory started out really cool in this one. You have like him as a little kid, and he's protecting his sister, and there's some guys hassling him, and they're being a bit rude. Like, I guess like somebody ran into him, got like clothes stained, and they was trying to harass him about it. And he looks mad and annoyed just from the start, and he's just like, all right, you know what, leave your money and go. And he just beats the hell out of these guys. They got their asses whooped by this dude who probably at the time was like 10 years old or something. And after that point, he's just looks so much better, like, now, in like, it's just general energy, because in like this flashback, he looks almost dead, like, just emotionally and probably mentally in such a bad spot. Like, I would assume like his sisters was probably the only thing keeping him going. But because like, even there's a point where after they guys like leave their money and run, and she goes to like try and pick it up, he's like, don't touch it, I'll do it. He probably doesn't want her picking up this dirty money. And it just kind of goes right after that point. He's like talking to his sister, and she's saying that she doesn't really need food or clothes, because she doesn't like her brother having to do this. But at the same time, he's just like, it's fine. Your brother's, the strongest in the world. And you have this sick panel where he's standing there with his staff, like in the sunlight, looking just generally really cool. And I mean, he's again a pretty interesting character by himself. But I mean, this is already like a pretty solid backstory that's going into it that I'm looking forward to. But it's like you have all of the, I think it's the summer, it's the summer Uma, I believe, the bomb one that they're up against now, because we got through autumn. Autumn was the first one, and then winter is the one that was where Billy and Juiz were. So this is summer. I think the last one is spring, which is like the big weird, like, Oni samurai looking guy with like the cherry blossom fit hanging out in some big flower field. But while you have Shen doing this thing, like beating all these like smaller ones, you have what was her name, Mui or May, I think. Mui, she just kind of comes out of nowhere with an artifact, chops one in half, just doing her thing to try and help Shen. And he's not too happy about it, because he keeps getting these artifacts from from the groups, like from Juiz. I think she said specifically that Juiz approved of it. I don't know why she's trying to hide it behind her back. It's like a big ass sword, but it gave like a good showing of the funny relationship between Shen and Mui, because she looks at him very much as a Master Shen, like she works for him, but at the same time she clearly has like a very high level of appreciation for him, because when they're talking, he makes her do like a kind of a penalty game. He's just trying to punish her, where he's making her say the opposite of what she actually thinks, and he's like, what's the look you give me? Just like, look of contempt. And he's like, why? He's like, oh, you're self-indulgent and whatnot. And he's like, is this true? And she's like, yeah. It's funny that you just see their expressions like as it goes. Like, both he and her are really upset and like start to tear up that he's that she's saying this. I think that they're pretty funny. I like that. I'm really enjoying some of the characters, like general. Like, they have at least one other character they got a really solid dynamic with. Sad, because we could have got that with Billy and Tatiana, but it's not going to be the case. Or Tatiana's without her own dynamic character to team up with now. She's at least still got Izumo as a friend, though, so at least there's that as a plus. But Annie and Izumo are like showing up, and they just see Mui and Shen, and they're like in tears. Like they just had that funny scene, and after the point they're like talking about what's going on with the summer Uma. I thought it was smaller because they show the first, like the initial one that we saw when the season Umas were coming out, and I thought it was like the size of a chestnut or something. But it looks more of like a basketball or a soccer ball. It's got like the eye stalk coming out with like a weird face from its core, and I guess it's been evolving. They're saying like it eats gunpowder in order to grow. And so what they did is they had like they did some messing with memories of people and whatnot, and they had like this big tower that's usually set for fireworks like during certain events, all set up so the summer Uma will show up. And you have this big one arrive, but I believe that one they said that like that is not the real one. I think Andy even said that. It was either Andy or Shen. One of them confirmed like, yeah, that's not the real one. But after that point, you have like a character off in the distance, and he's got one of the little tiny summer Umas on there. I'm wondering if this guy is supposed to be like the real summer Uma, like maybe he's taking a smaller humanoid form, or if this is one of the guys from Under that's hanging out with it, because he's got the little core one, or not the core, like one of the small ones on there with like its weird ignition fuse mustaches, and he's got he's got the similar Chinese design as Shen, and this being a Shen focused arc, I would assume that like mini arc, I don't assume it would be that long, probably a handful of chapters like the previous ones, but I assume that this is going to be somebody either adjacent to him or an opponent for him. He's also got he's got one of those Nioi bows. This is a little bit different because it's like Shen's is round and this guy's is like, I don't know if I can't really tell by looking if it's hexagon or octagon shaped, but I think it's hexagon shaped. Might be octagon. I don't know. Definitely looks a little bit ominous, a little bit spooky, but I mean the chapter actually like this went by really fast. I think it's just because there was a lot of kind of just general kind of like nod back to stuff we already knew, and then a lot of we got 2 different spread pages that had very little dialogue on there, very more of like the art scene. I think actually one of the things, just the last to note, that was cool is seeing one of Andy's new moves. He used deep crimson crescent moon, just like a giant blood blade to cut this spawn of the summer Uma up. So I'm wondering actually if Shen's whole statement of him being almost as strong as Victor is true. I kind of feel like that's not the case, just because I don't think we've seen full power Victor like all out. We saw that one move, Dead End, where he cut up parts of the city in the memory world, but at the same time, I don't think that's his best move. But anyway, other than that, like I said, it was a pretty fast read chapter, and mostly focused all the stuff that I was more interested was on Shen. So I think that there's going to be a lot more to talk about that portion of what's going on in the next couple chapters when we see more about this flashback and more of what's going on with him. But anyway, other than that, though, comment below, thumbs up the video, prefer the like button, subscribe button, and check out my other videos. Other than that, I appreciate everyone's already subscribed. Thank you all for listening. Bye.